G'day, it's Dan back here for the next session of our tutorial series. Today we're going to keep working on the combat tracker. We're going to set up some linking between the combat tracker and the character sheet so that when values in one change, they change in the other. So we've got our Fantasy Grounds table loaded, I've got the combat tracker open and character sheet open, and we've got some values here. So this is initiative. If we roll initiative, it's going to create a new value 9. It's going to update here. We've got our health. So health, our hit points is currently 40. If our max hit points changes to 42, this is adjusted here in the characters in the combat tracker as well. If our wounds is currently set at 5, if that increases to 9, we'll see 9 adjust here, and we'll also see some other values here, like our current health, our current hit points will adjust as well. So let's change some of these just back, and we've then got the 7 here, which links to our head armor, and if I change the head armor value here from 7 to 5, we can see it's changed here on the character sheet, and 11 corresponds with our body armor. So we've got 11 here. If we make that 12, and it reflects here in the combat tracker. So changes in the combat tracker will also flow back to the character sheet, but we need a method to actually do that, and that will come later on as we actually build in combat tracker automation. So let's go and have a look at what we've done in the Ruleset Wizard to get this stuff to work. Okay, so what we've got for these fields that stay synced, we've got the advanced template number underscore CT crosslink, and we've got that for all 4 of these fields. Some of these other fields, such as the name and the initiative, also have templates that keep those in sync, but they're slightly different templates and they're not part of what we're looking at today, but you'll see those templates here. So it's really important that you set this value, set it straight away. So the next thing that we want to do is on the window, so this is the window class, we need to run this script, link new PC fields. And link new PC fields runs this function, and it's going to set up a bunch of different links. So this runs on an init, and it will set up basically some background handlers that monitor the character sheet and the combat tracker and keep these 2 in sync. So let's work our way through these fields. So the very first thing that we do here is we use link.getTarget database node, and this is actually going to pull the combat tracker ID out, and it's a different set of functions that we're using here, getTarget database node, and they are based on they're just specific for the combat tracker. So then our next code is if node car, so we're basically checking that that is valid. So if on the previous line, if that didn't return a value, then the next sets of code won't run. We're now going to set up a link between the combat tracker field HP_max and the character sheet field, which is also called HP_max. And wherever possible, I keep them exactly the same names, I keep them consistent all the way through, and that just helps me visualize it. It's logical for me. It's not a requirement, but you just need to match them properly. So on the left is the combat tracker field, and on the right is the character sheet field. So we're setting up a link between HP max, and then we're doing another one for HP wounds. So we can see on our character sheet we've got HP max, which is 40, and we've got our wounds, which is this temporary field. And by temporary I mean it's not in its correct location or final location on the character sheet just yet, but these 2 fields link with these 2 link fields on the character sheet, on the combat tracker node, sorry. Next we get into some much more funky stuff. So we're getting the combat tracker node. Next, we are retrieving the class and record from the combat tracker node for the link value. Now, we did this first time in our last session over here when we were trying to retrieve the values of our armor. So we're trying to get the armor entry, from the character sheet. So we have to do that again here when we're setting up the link handlers. The class and the record, it's exactly the same steps that we're doing here, but we're going to use them differently. Now, what we want to do next is cycle through each result. So if there's no armor in there, no results will be returned. There's nothing to cycle through. If there's a single piece of armor, it will go through the list of armor, retrieving one value, do all the functions on the one piece of armor, and then finish. If there's two pieces of armor, it will do all the steps for armor 1, and then it will do all the steps for armor 2. So what we're doing is looking for all the entries in the armor list. Now, this is again a bit of validation error check. So if someone's created some armor on the character sheet and they haven't specified a location, then we exit. We don't run any more code on that piece of armor because that code will fail. There's no useful data to retrieve because we can't put anywhere. We don't know what those values belong to, if they're head or body. All right. Then the next piece of code here checks to see if the armor location is equal to head. When we've got the two equal signs, that's a comparison. So we're comparing the data on the left with the data on the right. We're not setting the data, which we would be doing if we used an equal sign. So we're checking if the armor location has the value of head. And if it does, we are getting the whole path. Now, our v get child armor location is going to return the charsheet dot id dot armor underscore sp, all that field, all that data, and the list name. But we don't want the whole field. We don't want the charsheet and the ID entry because that doesn't fit the function that we're using it in. So we collect that first and we're converting it to the path. So just a simple string rather than the node data. Then we're going to truncate that. So string.sub is just a Lua routine, and we're the path that we get up here, we want to just strip out the first 19 characters. So that's what this does. So string sub, we're starting from line 20 and we're doing it on long path, which was set just up here. What we see is an example over here. The long path is charsheet ID1, armor list ID2, armor SP. And we only need to keep the armor list and right through the end. So this is the short path information, armor list ID2, armor SP. So this first example is the long path, and then this one is the short path. So there's a bit of debug code that's still left in there for the moment. Then we're going to use our setLink code, the same code that we used for hit points max and hit point wounds. We're going to use it to set this link, but we've done some fancy work in the 6 lines preceding this to set up the target path. So we've got here the combat tracker information, armor SP head, and the character sheet information over here. So S short path is equal to armor list, ID, and then armor stopping power, armor SP. So, and we're doing all of this for armor that matches location head. We're then going to repeat the same steps here, but when the armor location has a value of body, we're going to retrieve the full path, we're going to truncate the path, and then we're going to match armor underscore SP underscore body on the character on the combat tracker with the short path on the character sheet, and that will keep those fields in sync. So let's go and check them again on the combat tracker. So back into Fantasy Grounds, we've got 5 and a 12. Again, we're going to set this back to 7 on the character sheet, and on the combat tracker it's now 7. We'll set this back to 11 for the body armor, and 11 changes here. We'll do our initiative as well. Okay, our initiative, okay, nice exploding roll. So our initiative, we have a value of 20, and that's what we rolled down here from the character sheet. We want to check our wounds. So our wounds are 9. Some sort of healing has gone on, and we're down to 2 wounds, and that has synced over to the combat tracker. It's also done some calculations here on the character sheet, but we set that up in an earlier video. So I'm going to post the code for this. This code took me a long time to work through. I'm not very good at this stuff. It really took a long time. I poked a few people, got some advice on what functions to run to convert things from X to Y. Hammered it around for a while, finally got it working. I used tons and tons of debug in my code to get it working. Don't get demoralized if this takes longer than you expect. If it takes longer than you think it took me, you're probably wrong. It takes me a long time to do it, so persist with it, and good things will happen, and you'll get better at it. Every time you do it, you'll get a little bit better at it. Thanks for joining me for another video, and I'll see you again very soon.